where the light catches the tears in another's eyes, where hands are held and there are moments without words. Let us be present then and alive to the possibility of changing. Let us seek to make another's well being the object of our concern. Let us seek to be present in another's pain, to bathe another's wounds, and hear another's sadness. Celebrate another's success and allow the other's story to change our own.
Thanks, Jen. Good morning, everyone. My name is India. I'm the youth group coordinator and Zoom tech person for you all at UUAC. And we just have a few announcements for you today before we get started with worship. So as usual, we are recording this. Grab your chalice and or something to light for our chalice lighting later. We also generally need chalice lighters for next Sunday, June the 13th. So don't miss out on one of your last opportunities to light our chalice. Another reminder for this coming month that Reverend Heather will be back from her sabbatical on the first Sunday of June, followed by the annual meeting. We're so excited to have Reverend Heather back and excited to have our annual meeting. On that note, the warrant for the annual meeting is in the weekly email, so definitely check that out if you'd like to. The annual pledge drive is almost over, but there are still some of you who have not yet entered your pledge for next year. We need to finalize our budget very soon, so next week we'll be calling those of you who have not yet entered your pledge on Realm. It's easy to pledge online. Dara is posting the link in the chat box as I speak, and you can finish your pledge before the end of this service. That easy. Your annual pledge, no matter the amount, helps us budget for next year and welcome us home to UAC next fall when we're in person again. Our final announcements are that Newcomers Covenant Group is tonight from 7 to 8:30. If you are new or newish to our congregation, you are welcome to join the conversation. And you can email Dara. Her contact info is in the weekly email. We also invite all of our visitors today, hello, welcome, to fill out the welcome form, which is also linked in the chat box. And finally, as is our tradition, you can pop onto gallery view and wave to greet each other and your neighbors.
Our opening words today, entitled Affirmation by Asatar Shakor. I believe in living. I believe in the spectrum of beta days and gamma people. I believe in sunshine, in windmills and waterfalls, tricycles and rocking chairs. And I believe that seeds grow into sprouts and sprouts grow into trees. I believe in the magic of the hands and in the wisdom of the eyes. I believe in rain and tears and in the blood of infinity. I have been locked by the lawless, handcuffed by the haters, gagged by the greedy. And if I know anything at all, it's that a wall is just a wall and nothing more at all. It can be broken down. I believe in living. I believe in birth. I believe in the sweat of love and in the fire of truth. And I believe that a lost ship, steered by tired seasick sailors, can still be guided home to port.
Our opening hymn this morning is Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. And for this song and all of our music today, I invite you to sing along at home. Even though you're all muted, we can't hear each other, but that doesn't mean we can't sing together. It doesn't mean that we can't breathe together in rhythm. So this is a great time to try out some new harmonies you might not have been so bold to try if others were around. It goes like this. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Let's try that again. Here we go. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice. Here we go. Last time. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Today will be a joyful day. Today will be a joyful day. One more. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
We'll now have Haley and Alicia Warby light our chalice for us and lead us in the covenant. Girls?
Okay, you ready, Haley? Okay, go ahead.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to do all together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. Alicia's going.
Alicia.
Well, I would love to share with you this story called Desmond Gets Free. At the story was just published by Skinner House Press just a couple months ago, so I'm excited to be sharing it with you all. It was illustrated by a dear friend of mine, Kim Pham. Now, Desmond the Mouse lived in the most beautiful meadow in all the land. Every morning, Desmond would wake with the sunrise and spend the day playing in the middle of the meadow. And every night he would go to sleep in that meadow under the beautiful starry sky. One night, though, Desmond awoke to find that it was still dark out. He tried to roll over and get more comfortable, go back to sleep, but something wasn't right. He felt behind him, and there was some sort of boulder had fallen on his tail and pinned him to the ground. His tail was throbbing with pain, and he could hardly move. He tried pushing on this giant boulder behind him to get free. He tried tugging on his tail to get loose, but it didn't work. He was stuck. He started to get worried, and he pushed again, and he tugged and pushed and tugged with all of his strength, but nothing. He could barely move. Just when he was about out of breath, he saw a giraffe passing by through the meadow. Good news, Desmond thought. "Oh, giraffe," he called out. "It seems that some kind of boulder has landed just in the middle of the meadow on my tail. I'm stuck. If you could use your strong legs to nudge it just a few inches in the other direction, I could go free." Well, the giraffe laughed at Desmond the way giraffes sometimes do. "You silly mouse," it said. "That's no boulder that's fallen on your tail in the meadow. That is an elephant that's fallen asleep on your tail just in the middle of the meadow." "Well, that seems like good news too. Then if you could just wake the elephant up gently and just ask him to roll over just a few inches in the other direction, I could get free." "I don't know about that," said the giraffe. "I mean, you know what they say about letting sleeping elephants lie. I find it's best not to get involved in other animals' business. I find it's best to remain neutral in times like this." "Well," said Desmond, "I do not appreciate your neutrality." The giraffe wandered off, leaving Desmond alone again. He tried calling out to the elephant as loud as he could to wake him, but his little mouse voice was just too far away from those giant elephant ears on the other end of that giant elephant body. He tried pushing with all of his strength and tugging with all of his might, pushing the elephant and tugging his tail and pushing and tugging and tugging and pushing, but it was no use. He was stuck. When he was just about exhausted, he saw a gazelle passing by through the meadow. "Oh, gazelle," he called out. "It seems that this elephant has fallen asleep just on my tail in the middle of the meadow. If you could just wake him up gently and ask him to roll over just a few inches in the other direction, I could go free." "I don't know about that," said the gazelle. "I mean, you know what they say about letting sleeping elephants lie. I find it's best not to get involved in other animals' business. I find it's best to remain neutral in times like this." The gazelle wandered off, and Desmond said almost to himself this time, "I do not appreciate your neutrality." One final time, Desmond tried shouting out with all of his voice. He tried pushing with all of his might and tugging with all of his strength, and shouting and pushing and tugging and pushing and shouting, but it was no use. And when he had just about given up for the last time, he saw another animal pass by through the grass. This time it was another mouse, and he called out. This other mouse ran over and introduced himself. "My name is Nelson. What seems to be the problem?" Well, no sooner had Desmond explained the situation than Nelson was running as fast as he could all the way to the other end of that giant elephant body. And he called up to those giant elephant ears, "Excuse me, but it seems you've fallen asleep on my friend's tail in the middle of the meadow. If you could just roll over a few inches in the other direction, he could go free." Now, the elephant with those giant ears heard Nelson's little mouse voice way down on the ground. But the elephant was just a bit too comfortable, and Nelson's voice was just a bit too small. He didn't budge. So Nelson ran back to Desmond and said, "I think I might have an idea. Don't move." And he ran off into the grass, leaving a confused look on Desmond's face. And just when Desmond was starting to get worried all over again, Nelson came back, but this time he wasn't alone. He had found 3 mouse friends, and each of them had found another 3 mouse friends. The whole group of them ran to the other end of that giant elephant body, and one mouse stood on the shoulders of another, and another mouse stood on their shoulders, and one by one they formed a whole mouse ladder all the way up the back of that giant elephant head. Till at last, Nelson climbed up the shoulders of his friends one by one, carefully, gently, and at last he stood right at the opening of that giant elephant ear, and he shouted with all his strength, "Excuse me! It seems you've fallen asleep on my friend's tail in the meadow. Roll over a few inches so he can get free." And with a big, low grunt, the elephant rolled over just a few inches in the other direction. Nelson climbed back down, and all the other mice met up with Desmond, and the whole lot of them spent the rest of that day playing together in the meadow. Archbishop Desmond Tutu has said, "If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have already taken sides with the oppressor." He said that if an elephant stands on the tail of a mouse will never appreciate your neutrality. As Unitarian Universalists, we have envisioned in our hearts and we've articulated in our principles the goal of a world of justice and equity and compassion. And so that means sometimes we take sides for justice. We take sides for equity and compassion. It means that together we work together to side with love. May it be so. May we make it so.
Now is the time in our service for meditation and prayer. If you would put your feet both on the ground and root yourself here in this moment, relax your neck and your shoulders and settle in. And either join in singing with Sarah, Spirit of Life, or let the music wash over you as you settle into our time of prayer.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Rose, hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We invite prayers for your loved ones, for those hurting and those in need. Please put your prayers in the chat box and I will read them aloud. For Zoe on her journey. For my grandma visiting this week. For mom recovering from complications of surgery. For my family recovering from losses. For Elizabeth's sister with severe brain injury. For my 98-year-old aunt. I now invite prayers for the world. I'd like to especially pray for India and all that they are facing with the COVID outbreak. For Israel and Palestine. Amen. For those afraid to get vaccinated. Gail just diagnosed with ovarian cancer. For those suffering from mental illness. For those oppressed, especially in the Middle East. And now I invite prayers of thanksgiving for all the joys in our lives. For those who feel misunderstood. For Daryl on his hiking adventure. For Tika, who turned 20 this week. Happy birthday, Tika. For my brand new nephew and Connor's new little brother, Emmett Finn, born on Thursday. Oh, congratulations. For a new job that's turning out better than anticipated. Amen. For our healthcare workers. For amazing senior youth group who will meet in person on the lawn today. For all us mice to work together. For lilacs. For warm weather. For bees that haven't given up yet. For rain. Amen.
I invite you again to breathe deeply. In and out. And in again. To take a moment to be present here together. There is nothing else to do. There is nowhere else you need to be, for now at least. Spirit of love, be with us as we are with each other this morning, in the grieving and in the gratitudes, in the sorrows and in the celebrations, all together in our community, perhaps all together in a single heart. We gather enduring the pain of injury and illness, the anxiety for future unknowns. And we come together also for the hope and the heartache of slow healing, the promise or opportunity at least of recovery. We come together amidst fragile peace. Peace for now in our world, fragile peace in our homes, perhaps fragile peace in our own hearts. And we come together also amidst too much turmoil in our homes and communities, too much violence in our world. Spirit of peace, be with us as we are with each other. Spirit of justice, work with us as we work with each other. We gather also in the celebrations of new jobs, of new ways of gathering, of new flowers blossoming, and newborn children. Spirit of love, be with us in the all of it, bringing our whole complicated selves, our complex stories, our sorrows and our celebrations, the grieving and the gratitude, holding it all in community, holding it all with love. May it be so. And let's join together in a few moments of shared silence. Amen.
Okay, I'm finally unmuted. Today's reading is called Breathe, and it's by Lynn Unger. Breathe, said the wind. How can I breathe at a time like this when the air is full of smoke of burning tires, burning lives? Just breathe, the wind insisted. Easy for you to say if the weight of injustice is not wrapped around your throat, cutting off all air. I need you to breathe. I need you to breathe. Don't tell me to be calm when there are so many reasons to be angry, so much cause for despair. I didn't say to be calm, said the wind. I said to breathe. We're going to need a lot of air to make this hurricane together.
We're now going to be accepting our offering this morning. India will share a slide. We're sharing today with the India Association of Greater Boston, the India Association's, to their COVID Relief Fund, sorry. The IAGB is an Indian American community organization dedicated to civic, community, and social and cultural causes. The COVID-19 situation in India is dire, and India is facing one of the worst COVID outbreaks in the history of the pandemic. All funds will go to support India's efforts to combat the outbreak. And I just want to add a personal note that a very good friend of mine at seminary is from India, and in her words, she said that India right now is a disaster and they desperately need our help. So please give as generously as you are able. The instructions are on the slide, and I will put the link in the chat box.
On the day we are together again, on the day we are together again, I will pull you in close like a hoop with no end. On the day we are together again. We will share the same table again. We will share the same table again. I will pass you the salt, the candlelight will bend when we eat at the same table again. Someday we will go back to work. Someday we will go back to work. May we be among people who respect our worth. Someday we will go back to work. I will help the strangers I meet. I will help the strangers I meet. It is possible to get back on our feet. I will help the strangers I meet. I will write you a letter for now. I will write you a letter for now. Hope is a message, it survives somehow. I will write you a letter for now. To the healers who keep us alive. To the healers who keep us alive. A toast to your knowledge, your courage, your light. to the healers who keep us alive, to the ones who we love who are gone, to the ones who we love who are gone. We sing your stories, we sing your songs, to the ones who we love who are gone. On the day we are together again, on the day we are together again, I will pull you in close like a hoop with no end. On the day we are together again, on the day we are together again. Communities of faith were made for times like these. Times when things are changing fast. Times when the headlines are dramatic and unpredictable. When the reality of our interdependence is painfully tangible in the death toll of a global pandemic. When the crises of climate chaos and white supremacy are colliding in our country and in our communities. What a year this has been, and what a year it will continue to be. It's no wonder that one of my personal favorite genres of music, sea shanties, have become had a popular resurgence this year. I know that I, for one, have never related so much to a lost seasick sailor. In times like these, I imagine that part of the way forward when we're feeling lost, part of the way forward when we are caught in a storm of uncertainty, is by paying attention to what we pay attention to. Not to ignore the hard things, but also not to ignore the need for rest and for renewal. This is a time for attending to our fears and anxieties, as well as our connections and our consolations. A time for self-care and community care, both. A time for solitude and solidarity, both. To breathe deeply, even in the eye of the hurricane. One of the central principles that separates music from noise is the organization of tension and release. The harmony and the melody, the rhythm and the format of nearly all the music you've ever heard are structured to give you some sense of tension and then release. A feeling of having gone somewhere and then returned home to port. To create some small amount of discomfort and then relieve it. For you non-musicians who maybe this is new to you, you can get a sense of this if you sing the song Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, but end just a little early on the word you. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you... It's unresolved, as we say in the music business. It's uncomfortable until eventually you hear that last note, R, and you get some sense of resolution. The tension is like that feeling you might get if your roommate or a spouse is heading out the door in the morning and just before they leave they say, hey, are you around later to check in about something that's been on my mind? It is uncomfortable, unresolved. Your eyes might widen a bit. You might even look around the room trying to figure out what has gone wrong. This is the tension. But in all good music, then comes the release. In music, that sublime moment of arrival back home might come from just the right harmonic resolution at the end of a long symphony, or perhaps the bass finally dropping at just the right moment in a dance hall. The best music provides this sense of having left home, being challenged in some new way, growing yourself with a nudge of discomfort, but arriving safely at home again by the end of the evening. And to be clear, tension in music isn't something to be avoided. It's what gives music life. The tension and discomfort of new things is how we grow, but we need the release as well. This balance, this delicate balance, is what makes the best music the best. I think the best lived lives are likely to have an element of this as well. Always growing and stretching while balanced with a sense of stability and security if we can, afflicting the comfortable and comforting the afflicted, always in turn. This back and forth shows up in our biology as well. Our bodies contain two different nervous systems for these two different purposes. Our sympathetic nervous system was made for times like this. It is the engine of fight or flight. It exists because the world is dangerous and we need to be ready for it. It's the system that releases adrenaline, speeds up the heart, dilates the pupils, and even like Neo in the Matrix movie, when things get real, it can even slow down our sense of time by changing how our memories are encoded. The other nervous system we have is for times of rest and renewal, though. The parasympathetic system slows down the heart. It relaxes the muscles. It kicks in when you sit in your favorite chair or when a loved one puts you at ease with kind words. Tension and release are built into the very structure of our bodies. What's important is to pay attention to them, both of them, to learn the landscape of your own heart and body well enough to make music together. Attend to your own nervous system, both of them, as they each play a role in attending to you when the time is right. In the book of Psalms in the Hebrew Bible, there's a word found over and over again, Selah. This word Selah shows up 71 times in the book of Psalms, so it seems important, but scholars don't always agree on what it means. Now, many of the Psalms were originally sung. They are in some ways a lyric sheet, passed down through the generations for millennia. So amidst the debates about this word, one of the more common ideas is that it's not really part of the text at all, but instead it's a cue to the choir or to the music director doing the singing. A cue that says something like, pause, or maybe breathe here. The Psalms run the gamut of human emotion. They contain grief and celebration side by side, anger and praise, love and lamentation, all crammed together in the messy experience of humanity, in this beautiful poetry. But in the midst of all of them, over and over again, is Selah, tension and release. Selah, balanced amidst the rugged emotional terrain of the Psalms, reminds us, do the hard thing. Do the uncomfortable thing. Do the thing that stretches you. And remember to breathe. Fight for justice. Give generously to the front lines. Offer your time and your talent. And remember to breathe while you do it. I've been thinking of this word lately in the rugged emotional terrain of our times. Adrienne Marie Brown calls this moment of possible reopening a boundaries moment, as we are negotiating and renegotiating our connections and our safety all over again and again and again, setting boundaries. As I'm increasingly imagining some things opening in the couple months, my own heart has been raw and rugged as the book of Psalms. Grief and celebration, anger and praise, love and lamentation, these are all familiar to me in the last couple of weeks. Often they've been familiar to me together in an afternoon. I feel lifted up by the possibilities for connection and community ahead of us. And I feel weighed down by the hundreds of small decisions to be made, navigating safety and guidelines, rules and recommendations. I feel the release of wanting to go back to something called normal, and I feel the tension that what was normal was never just. Normal was not sustainable. Normal was not equitable. This is a time to be gentle with ourselves and with each other, dear ones. But gentleness does not mean to ignore the difficult things or to follow the path of least resistance. Easy for you to say, the poem reminds us, if the weight of injustice is not wrapped around your throat. I didn't say to be calm, said the wind. I said to breathe. We're going to need so much air to make this hurricane together. It's helpful to remember that amidst the grieving and celebrations, all of which are appropriate, that many of us have gotten the message somewhere along the way that tensions in life should be minimized, that life should be all release and no tension. But it makes for bad music and it makes for an unsustainable life. Some of us have gotten the message that some feelings are off limits, that it's okay to be angry but not sad, or maybe sad but not angry, that we're allowed to feel worried but not afraid, or to feel alone but not lonely. Some of us ignore these disallowed feelings, the result being that we never fully experience the tension of a full life, and that we never find the release on the other side. When I first heard this song about 6 months ago, on the day we are together again, I was sitting at my desk working through my email inbox, and without warning, I clicked on this link that a friend sent, and it brought up this song that broke me open. It caught me off guard with a wave of grieving I hadn't allowed for myself since the pandemic had began. It was a deep dive into the tensions of these times. The losses, large and small, that have piled on top of each other these last months. And it was, in turn, a release. When the tears stopped, I breathed with a depth I didn't know I had been missing. Dear ones, I've been told that a good spiritual practice includes doing something every day, every week, every season, and every year to give yourself time for rest and renewal. And I think that some folks describe these times of renewal as the religious life. They say that spirituality is about taking care of yourself and making space for those deep breaths, making time for rest and connections amidst it all. I disagree. That is only half the story. The spiritual life is all of it. Like music, it is the release and the tension. It's the time for reflection, but it is also the action. It's the music that is made beautiful by both the challenge of discomfort and the ease of the resolution. So give yourself fully to the tension of these times, and in turn, give yourself fully to the moments of rest. Breathe deeply together. We're going to need a lot of air to make this hurricane. This is a time for attending to our fears and anxieties, as well as our connections and consolations, a time for self-care and community care, a time for some solitude and some solidarity. In the words of Asada Shakur, I believe that seeds grow into sprouts, and sprouts into trees. I believe in the magic of hands and the wisdom of the eyes. I believe in living. And I believe that a lost ship steered by tired, seasick sailors can still be guided home to port. May it be so. Our closing song is "O River" by Mamuse. I invite you to sing along. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, 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 finding my way back home. Finding my way, finding my way, finding my way, finding my way. I hear you calling me back home. Finding my way, 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 when I reach my way back home. Finding my way, finding my way, finding my way, finding my way. I hear you calling me. Finding my way, finding my way, finding
Thank you so much, Matt, for your words and for your music. Please join me now in saying our call to ministry. The words will be in the chat box. We go forth into the world in peace to act with works of love, to affirm each person's dignity, and to cherish the living earth. Amen.
Dear ones, these are times for paying attention to what you pay attention to. Times for attending to our fears and anxieties as well as consolations and connections. A time for self-care and community care, for solitude and solidarity. Go imagining new futures. Go attending to your hearts. Go in love. Go and be blessed as you are a blessing to others.